Hi, everybody. I'm Gloria Moraga. This is the Political Woman Podcast. It's Thursday, October 10th, and Hurricane Milton has hit Florida. Earlier, I was watching CNN's Anderson Cooper on TV, just making a fool out of himself, reporting on the hurricane. And actually, he is doing a great job. But he's drenched. As a political reporter, I never could quite get the way others, general assignment reporters or anchors, cover weather. Yeah, it's a freaking hurricane. Get out of the hurricane. But they're all out there. Hopefully, everyone's okay. On Wednesday, President Biden had a leadership moment. He came out and talked to the press and reiterated that the federal government is behind Florida 100% and that the feds will help the state of Florida in every way possible and then some. And then the president slammed Trump for lying about the federal response. And what does Trump do in response to that? He does it again. He lies some more. He's campaigning in Pennsylvania, a must-win state, and he's spewing the lies. I was going to play a soundbite from each one of them, but it's like, oh, let's move on. How many times can we hear this dude lie? So I'll have more on Milton tomorrow as we figure out what's going on. Just briefly, in other political news, the campaign fundraising numbers are in, and in just 3 months, the Harris campaign raised $1 billion. Boom. So a lot of these stories I post throughout the day in video shorts. I go a little bit longer on TikTok, so follow me on YouTube and TikTok, please. I need your support. Okay, as promised, we're going to take a look at the border bill. The border bill that Trump killed so that he could have a campaign issue to complain about and to attack Biden on. And why am I doing this if it's killed? Because Vice President Kamala Harris promises that if she becomes president, she will sign this border bill. So there's hope. It ain't over till it's over. So here we go. 370-page, $118 billion bill. The bill was authored by Senators Christian Sinema, independent from Arizona, who's now retiring, James Lankford, a Republican from Oklahoma, and Chris Murphy, a Democrat from Connecticut. And this proposal would have brought dramatic changes to U.S. immigration law and the whole system if it was passed and if it is passed. The $118 billion bill was called the Emergency National Security Supplemental Appropriations Act. And it would have brought significant changes to border policy. Now, in the bill, money to build more border barriers, to greatly expand detention facilities, to hire more immigration and customs enforcement and border patrol agents, asylum officers, immigration judges, to reduce the years-long backlog in cases to determine asylum eligibility. The bill sought to expedite the asylum process, essentially ending, in most cases, the so-called catch and release policy, whereby immigrants are released into the U.S. pending asylum hearings. And it would have increased the standard of evidence needed to win asylum status. So you can see here, just reading, just off the top, you can see why conservatives liked a lot of these elements in this border bill. and why some of the libs didn't. But it was going to happen, babies, and then it didn't. The bill would have also supplied more funding to interdict fentanyl and human trafficking. Come on, people. Why? We need this right now. Here's a quote from the main author, the man who worked longest and hardest on this bill. Quote, "It doesn't have everything in it I wanted. It doesn't have everything in it my Democratic colleagues wanted," one of the architects of the bill said, Senator James Lankford. "But it definitely makes a difference." And then there's a quote that I included here, but I'm going to just forget it. Lankford talks about how it's politics, and they don't like it because of politics. But I'm just going to skip that because I'm too downhearted to talk about this, because it didn't happen because of politics, because of Trump. He didn't want Biden to have this win. He just didn't. And that's why it's all about Trump. Back to the bill. The bill would have funded an increase in ICE detention capacity. The current capacity is 34,000. It would have increased it to 50,000. It would mean people who arrive in the United States illegally would not be able to claim amnesty, and it would force the government to shut down the border at times where there is a 7-day rolling average of 5,000 encounters per day, or 8,500 encounters in a single day. So I know people complain about that. The MAGAs, you're going to have 5,000 people. Just encounters, okay? Encounters. Just you run into somebody out in the desert and you go, no, go back. Or you bring them in and send them right back. I mean, that's an encounter. The bill also aims to de-incentivize crossings by barring those who try to cross illegally more than twice during a declared emergency upon entering the U.S. So they would block that. So there you are. Hey, we've seen you 2 times. That's it. You're done. There was significant additional funding to beef up immigration review, including $440 million to hire more immigration judge teams and to increase the capacity of the immigration courts to speed these cases up. And this is important. We need to do this. Why do we need to do this? Why not just put them in a cage and then throw them across the border? Because we are a country of laws. We are not, as Donald Trump likes to say, some third world country that violates human rights. That's why. But this would have helped. And again, I'll say the package included millions of more dollars to combat human trafficking, enhance security at the border, assist the FBI in addressing the growing backlog of DNA samples collected from migrants, and provide millions to help disrupt and dismantle the cartels. What do you think, people? What do you think? Be thoughtful. It was a good, solid bill. Before I conclude, I want to share some information on this whole presidential authority to close the border, which MAGAs and people on my feeds are always throwing it up. Blech. We just close the border, just close the border, just close the border. It's not that simple, my furry friends. You repeat this falsehood again and again and again and again, as does Donald Trump, and it's a lie. The president does not have the authority to close the border. It's against the law, and we are still a country of laws. And here's why. And I'm telling you right now, I could do a whole podcast on just this part of the law. Provisions in the Immigration and Nationality Act, quote, make very clear that all persons arriving at the border or entering the United States without regard to status must be processed for asylum if they indicate a fear of return to their home countries. And according to the law, according to that act, these provisions cannot simply be thwarted because some president wants to have a soundbite. Under this current law, asylum seekers must be granted temporary asylum and be able to present their claims. We can't just throw people out in the desert with chain link fence around some desert dirt. Now, people say time and time again, as does Trump, just close the border. Just close the border. Trump closed the border. Trump closed the border. He did not. He tried and was blocked. The courts blocked him. And then COVID hit. And then he used Title 42, a public health law that blocked people from coming in. That's how he did it. COVID. And who knows? When he was giving Putin COVID tests and, getting all the real information on how deadly COVID was going to be, maybe he was thinking, oh, yeah, we'll just let it go. And then that way I can use Title 42. I don't think he's that smart, but who knows? He has people helping him. So in order to just have the president just close the border, like these people say, we'd have to change the Immigration and Nationality Act. And get this, are you ready? Those changes were in the 2024 border bill that Trump killed. It would have given the president more power to close the border. It would have changed this Immigration and Nationality Act. And as I said before, I could do a whole podcast just on this and Trump and what a buffoon he was when he was trying to do all this stuff and it was all illegal. And how, he says, I did it now, and people believe him. And yeah, you know what? I know this is complex. It is. It's not just simple. But he says these dumb things, and then he calls everybody else dumb. And, it's just, it's infuriating when you cover this and know this and read legislation. And I read this bill backwards and forwards. And, no, it's not perfect. No, I think it's a little bit too harsh. But, I'm a bleeding heart. So what we did to the children and what we did, it's wrong on a million levels. And what he's planning to do, and it's at Project 2025, is throw everybody into, cages and, behind the chain link fence in the desert. Yeah, he wants to do this and break all these laws without due process. The racists want to build the camps because we, all of us, are poisoning the blood. Because I have Latina blood. I have Latina heat. I mean, who knows who else Trump wants to throw in the camps? They're building them. All right. In conclusion, this is a quote from Senator James Lankford, who became, I just liked him so much. And I could see him when this thing was falling apart all around him. I could see it on his face. How freaking sad it made him. Quote, there's a reason this hasn't been done in decades. Because it's hard. It's very technical work. There are a lot of challenges that are in it. Anytime you deal with border security, there are a lot of complicating features in this. The most important thing is to be able to get it right. End quote. What a thoughtful man. We have not had a comprehensive immigration reform in decades. It's not just something that, let's just do it. Let's just close the border and then let's do it. No, we have to have will. We have to have a president who is able to work across the aisle. We have to have thoughtful lawmakers. And they have to work at it, and we had it. We had a thoughtful president. We had these people, an independent, a Democrat, a Republican, who came together and brought us this deal. And it was killed so that Trump can stand up in front of a crowd and spew out sound bites and lies. But Ronald Reagan was the last president to sign immigration reform. And the critics, Reagan is the darling. The critics began calling that Reagan bill the amnesty bill because they didn't like some of the positive things for immigrants in that Reagan bill. Now, George W. Bush was close. He was very close to passing a border bill. And then 9/11 hit. And it was then impossible. I was sure this bill was going to make it. I just thought, wow, Biden was on a roll. We had the great infrastructure bill, CHIPS Act. He was really going at it. And it's like, man, I read the bill and it's like, okay, no, it's not perfect, but man, it's going to help. It's going to do some stuff. And then Trump killed it because he wanted a campaign issue. Yeah, why am I putting myself through this pain? Because Kamala Harris has promised to sign this bill into law. We could have this bill soon if she wins, soon after she is sworn in. If he wins, who the hell knows what's going to happen? Who the hell knows? Because he doesn't want any of these laws, and he doesn't want to have more courts to process people. No, he wants to throw everybody, out in the desert camp. You know how he said he's got concepts of a health care plan if he kills Obamacare? Well, perhaps he has concepts of a border plan. Don't hold your breath, my friends. Do not hold your breath. The only thing they've done is cheat a lot of people out of money. Remember that? Remember that grift? They were going to build the wall, and they got millions from people, well-meaning people who can't afford it, and they didn't do it. And charges against some of them are pending, and I won't even get into it because I don't want to misspeak. So that, my friends, is a little look at the border bill. I'm Gloria Moraga, political woman. Please subscribe. Please follow me on YouTube and TikTok. And I did not do live shots tonight, which I'd planned to because I wanted to write this. So follow me. And please, be safe.